Dhammapada Verses and Stories. Dhammapada Verse 1. The Story of Thera Cakkhupala. Dhammapada Verse 2. The Story of Matthakundali. Dhammapada Verse 1. The Story of Thera Cakkhupala. All mental phenomena have the mind as their forerunner, they have the mind as their chief, they are mind-made. If one speaks or acts with an evil mind, dukkha follows him just as the wheel follows the hoofprint of the ox that draws the cart. While residing at the Jetavana monastery in Savatthi, the Buddha uttered verse 1, with reference to Cakkhupala, a blind Thera. On one occasion, Thera Cakkhupala came to pay homage to the Buddha at the Jetavana monastery. One night, while pacing up and down in meditation, Thera accidentally stepped on some insects. In the morning, some bhikkhus visiting the Thera found the dead insects. They thought ill of the Thera and reported the matter to the Buddha. The Buddha asked them whether they had seen the Thera killing the insects. When they answered in the negative, the Buddha said, just as you had not seen him killing, so too he had not seen those living insects. Besides, as the Thera had already attained arahatship, he could have no intention of killing and so was quite innocent. On being asked why Cakkhupala was blind although he was an arahant, the Buddha told the following story. Cakkhupala was a physician in one of his past existences. Once, he had deliberately made a woman patient blind. That woman had promised him to become his slave, together with her children, if her eyes were completely cured. Fearing that she and her children would have to become slaves, she lied to the physician. She told him that her eyes were getting worse when, in fact, they were perfectly cured. The physician knew she was deceiving him, so in revenge, he gave her another ointment, which made her totally blind. As a result of this evil deed, the physician lost his eyesight many times in his later existences. Then the Buddha spoke in verse as follows. All mental phenomena have mind as their forerunner, they have mind as their chief, they are mind-made. If one speaks or acts with an evil mind, dukkha follows him just as the wheel follows the hoofprint of the ox that draws the cart. At the end of the discourse, 30,000 bhikkhus attained arahatship together with analytical insight, padisambhita. Key insights of the story. The law of karma, the law of causality, is the underlying mechanism that drives the workings of the universe. Hence, always be mindful of cultivating compassion and loving kindness in your daily life. Think wholesome thoughts, do good deeds, and speak kind words. These are the secret recipes of absolute happiness. Dhammapada Verse 2. The Story of Matthakundali. All mental phenomena have the mind as their forerunner, they have the mind as their chief, they are mind-made. If one speaks or acts with a pure mind, happiness follows him like a shadow that never leaves him. While residing at the Jetavana monastery in Savatthi, the Buddha uttered verse 2, with reference to Matthakundali, a young Brahmin. Matthakundali was a young Brahmin, whose father, Adinapubaka, was very stingy and never gave anything in charity. Even the gold ornaments for his only son were made by himself to save payment for workmanship. When his son fell ill, no physician was consulted until it was too late. When he realized that his son was dying, he had the youth carried outside onto the veranda, so that people coming to his house would not see his possessions. On that morning, the Buddha, arising early from his deep meditation of compassion, saw, in his net of knowledge, Matthakundali lying on the veranda. So when entering Savatthi for alms food with his disciples, the Buddha stood near the door of the Brahmin Adinapubaka. The Buddha sent forth a ray of light to attract the attention of the youth, who was facing the interior of the house. The youth saw the Buddha, and as he was very weak, he could only profess his faith mentally. But that was enough. When he passed away with his heart in devotion to the Buddha, he was reborn in the Tavatimsa celestial world. From his celestial abode, the young Matthakundali, seeing his father mourning over him at the cemetery, appeared to the old man in the likeness of his old self. He told his father about his rebirth in the Tavatimsa world and also urged him to approach and invite the Buddha to a meal. At the house of Adinapubaka, the question of whether one could or could not be reborn in a celestial world simply by mentally professing profound faith in the Buddha, without giving in charity or observing the moral precepts, was brought up. So the Buddha willed that Matthakundali should appear in person, Matthakundali, soon appeared fully decked with celestial ornaments and told them about his rebirth in the Tavatimsa world. Then only, the audience became convinced that the son of the Brahmin Adinapubaka, by simply devoting his mind to the Buddha, had attained much glory. Then the Buddha spoke in verse as follows. All mental phenomena have the mind as their forerunner, they have the mind as their chief, they are mind-made. If one speaks or acts with a pure mind, happiness follows him like a shadow that never leaves him. At the end of the discourse, Matthakundali and his father Adinapubaka attained Sotapaddi Magga and Sotapaddi Pala. Adinapubaka also donated almost all his wealth to the cause of the Buddha's teaching. Our mind is powerful. What you think, you become. When your mind is focused upon a meditation object of supreme purity and virtue, you will create tremendous causes of happiness and enlightenment for your current and future lifetimes. As such, visualization of the Buddha or chanting a mantra with devotion are all powerful practices that will cultivate one's mind toward attaining Buddhahood.
The awakening mind is your true nature. Subscribe to Lotus Happiness to unleash the greatest potential within you.